Hello lovely people, welcome back to another book chat. Okay, so the other week I talked about Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale and mentioned how much I enjoyed those sort of near dystopia. So we're not talking something grand, end of the world zombie plague, although I do quite enjoy the zombie plague ones still. If you can find a good one, they're excellent. But something which is a little more thought provoking, something which you can really see happening if certain things in the world continue unchecked. And I mentioned that I wouldn't mind reading Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 and George Orwell's 1984 again, because I haven't read those since I was a teenager. And then afterwards, after I'd done the video, I realised I have actually read another similar one quite recently. Weirdly similar. I don't know if similar is the right word, but that same sense of kind of our world, but a little bit tweaked sort of thing. So, and this, and I really hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Kazuo Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go. So I didn't know what to expect because I've never read any of his books before. Beautiful, beautiful writing. Really, I do kind of need to read some more of his. I see that he wrote Remains of the Day, which is probably why I haven't picked him up before, because I don't even know what the story's about, but I've got it in my head that it's a romance, and like, as we all know, it's only very recently that I've actually started reading any romance. So that might be why I haven't picked him up before. However, I actually read this last year, so excuse me if my memory of it is a little bit patchy. But essentially, we accompany the protagonist as it's all a little bit unclear. And I do quite enjoy books like that where you're kind of not quite sure what's going on. You're caught up in the protagonist's world and everything's a little bit vague. And essentially she's looking for a way to be saved, as it were. And it's kind of meant to be about modern day, maybe a little bit earlier. And she has grown up in this sort of children's home, boarding school type thing, with all her friends. And one of the things that stuck with me was the fact that they were always trying to, if they could prove themselves worthy enough through art, then maybe they would be saved, essentially. And you never quite figure out what they're being saved from until right at the end. And I won't mention the end in case you haven't read it. I did figure out what was going on fairly early on, but it's still quite shocking when you get right through the story. And it's beautifully done, and it's one that stayed with me. The language is beautiful. You're very engaged in what's happening, and there's the sense of the narrator trying so hard to change what their life is, change what they're destined to be, what by their very birth has been prescribed for them. And she tries everything, and there is this hideous entrapment. She can't get past it, and it is beautifully done. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I loaned it to a friend who was not very impressed and probably won't take any of my book recommendations ever again. I think I slightly traumatized her, so be warned. Although I recommend it, it's not an easy read, and it is another one of those ones similar to The Handmaid's Tale where you go, possible, yeah, entirely possible. So have you read Never Let Me Go? Have you read any of his other books? And what one would you recommend I go on to next? And what were your thoughts on this one? And yeah, that's all for today. We'll chat to you next time. Bye.